Back in the day, no one liked Ethan in his class. He was known as the kid who never cracked a book, always lazy and a bit slow-witted. His teacher regularly lost her temper with him. One day, Ethan's mother came to school and talked to his teacher, who bluntly told her, "Your son doesn't study, gets into silly antics, and his grades are poor. I've never seen a student as lazy as him." Taken aback, Ethan's mother withdrew him from school and they moved to Springfield. 25 years later, Ethan's former teacher, who had since relocated to Springfield, suffered a severe heart attack. She required a complex surgery, and there was only one surgeon in Springfield skilled enough to perform it. Post-surgery, as she was waking up, she saw a handsome surgeon smiling at her. Just as she was about to thank him, her face turned blue and she lost consciousness, hand raised in midair. The surgeon was puzzled, trying to figure out what went wrong, when he saw something shocking. There was Ethan, now a janitor, having unplugged the respiratory machine to connect his vacuum cleaner.
Johnny's teacher noticed him walking down the street one Saturday. She was used to little Johnny's antics by now, but this time was weird, even for him. He was holding a cat, and what looked like a pack of Tic Tacs. He would walk for a little bit, stop, eat a couple of candies, bite the cat, and start walking again. When they got close enough, she asked, "Little Johnny, what on earth are you doing with that poor cat?" "I'm playing truck driver," he announced proudly. Afraid to know the answer, she still had to ask, "Truck driver? How is this playing truck driver, Johnny?" "That's easy, Mississippi. I'm poppin' a pills, eatin' the pussy, and movin' on down the road."
In Vegas, a blonde walks up to a Coke machine and puts in a coin. Out pops a Coke. The blonde looks amazed and runs away to get some more coins. She returns and starts feeding the machine madly, and of course the machine keeps popping out the drinks. Another person walks up behind the blonde and watches her antics for a few minutes before stopping her and asking if someone else could have a go. The blonde spins around and shouts in her face, "Can't you see I'm winning?" Once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between rolling green hills, there lived a horse named Harry. Now, Harry was no ordinary horse. He possessed an uncanny ability to make the most mundane situations utterly hilarious. His knack for comedy made him the talk of the town, and villagers would eagerly gather whenever Harry was around, hoping for a good laugh. One sunny morning, as Harry trotted through the village, a peculiar idea struck his mischievous mind. He decided to set off on a grand adventure, a quest to find the funniest joke in the world. With his hooves pounding the ground, Harry embarked on his comedic crusade, determined to bring laughter to every corner of the globe. His journey took him through dense forests, across vast deserts, and over treacherous mountains. Along the way, he encountered various animals, each with their own unique sense of humor. From witty monkeys to pun-loving parrots, Harry absorbed their jokes like a sponge, honing his comedic skills with every encounter. Months turned into years, and Harry's fame as the jester of the animal kingdom spread far and wide. People from distant lands flocked to witness his hilarious antics, and kings and queens bestowed him with honorary titles. Harry, however, remained humble, always searching for that one perfect joke that would make the world burst into laughter. Finally, after countless adventures and a lifetime of laughter, Harry found himself in a bustling city. The streets were lined with towering buildings, and neon lights flickered in a dizzying display of colors. As he wandered through the lively metropolis, Harry noticed a sign that caught his attention. The Hilarious Horse Comedy Club. Intrigued, Harry trotted towards the club, the sound of uproarious laughter growing louder with each step. He pushed open the heavy doors and walked into the dimly lit venue. The air buzzed with anticipation, and the audience, a diverse crowd of humans and animals alike, eagerly awaited the show. Taking center stage, Harry's eyes scanned the room, his heart pounding with excitement. The spotlight illuminated his glistening mane as he launched into a series of side-splitting jokes, each more uproarious than the last. The crowd erupted in raucous laughter, tears streaming down their cheeks. But amidst the laughter, Harry sensed a pang of emptiness. His quest for the funniest joke had brought him fame and joy, but something was missing. The journey had been long, and Harry began to feel a longing for home, for the simple pleasures of the village where he had first discovered his talent. With a heavy heart, Harry bid farewell to the cheering audience, and made his way back to the village. As he approached the familiar green hills, exhaustion weighed upon him, and his steps grew sluggish. Determined to reach his destination, he plodded on, his hooves dragging through the dirt. Finally, with the last ounce of energy he could muster, Harry walked into the village's local tavern. The door creaked as he entered, and all eyes turned towards him. The bartender, a stout man with a bushy mustache, took one look at the weary horse and exclaimed, "Why the long face?"
A white man wants to take the trip of a lifetime and decides on a trip to Africa. He is in a go-nowhere job, with no friends or family, and is feeling down. He quits his job and decides to travel to a remote area, far from civilization. He does not like the touristy vibe that some places give off, as he does not like to socialize with the general population, so he ventures deep into the African wilderness and stumbles onto a very friendly African tribe. The tribe welcomes him, but are a little cautious as they have never seen a human with as light of skin as he has. The man falls in love with the tribe, and ends up teaching them about different cultures, the English language, etc. The man also becomes quite good friends with the tribe chief, as he and the chief have much more in common than they both would have ever imagined. A year passes, and the chief is getting suspicious of the white man's plans for being out in the wilderness for so long, and starts to question his antics. The chief's wife gets pregnant. The chief thinks nothing of it, as he loves his wife and sleeps with her regularly, until 9 months later when the baby is born, and has the same pale skin as this strange white man. The chief becomes furious, as he thinks the white man had slept with his wife, and asks to speak with him in private far from the rest of the tribe. He takes him to the edge of their village near a sheep pasture, where it is peaceful, yet quiet. The chief brings up his concern for his child being white, and explains to him that it isn't possible for the child to be white and be his son, as the man is the first human they have ever seen to be white. The chief has many children, all as dark as he is. Furious, the chief threatens to banish the man, as he is convinced the man had a child with his wife, but offers the man a chance for an explanation as to why the child isn't his. The white man thinks for a minute, and looks out onto the sheep pasture. He notices that all the sheep are white, except one of them, who is black. The man uses this example of the sheep, claiming that in nature, there is always a black sheep, and sometimes, no matter how all the others look, one comes out looking different than the rest. There wasn't a black sheep to impregnate a white sheep, to make it black, it just happens sometimes. The chief listens to this explanation, and makes his decision. The chief says, "I won't tell the others about the baby, if you keep your mouth shut about the sheep." Two brothers Matt and John go camping in the woods. When they arrive where they want to camp, they make dinner, have a few beers, but realize they forgot one of their two one-person tents at home. They decide to play rock/paper/scissors to see who gets to sleep in the tent and who has to sleep outside. Matt wins, and so they both climb in their sleeping bags, with Matt in the tent, and go to sleep. A few hours later, a group of blackout drunk campers stumble across their camp and decide to be jackasses and start beating the crap out of John. John struggles to groggily defend himself before the drunkards run off laughing into the night. John stumbles over to Matt in the tent and yells at him to wake up, explaining what has just occurred. Matt, who is a notoriously heavy sleeper, has actually heard none of this, and angrily tells John to go back to sleep. John, still very groggy and dizzy, thinks that perhaps he has imagined it and that he maybe drank more than he thought. He climbs back into his sleeping bag and falls quickly back to sleep. About 30 minutes later, the group comes back and discover that their prey hasn't vacated the campsite, so they proceed to lay into John again with punches and kicks, and again running off cackling into the night. Sure of himself this time, John stumbles over to his brother Matt and after a struggle wakes him up again. He swears up and down that he is not dreaming and that there are people coming and beating him up. Matt accuses John of just being mad that he had to sleep outside and decides he doesn't want to deal with his whiny brother and heads outside to sleep instead. John is insistent about his experience, but Matt doesn't listen, and they eventually fall asleep again, having exchanged places. The drunks come back another hour later and see their victims are really still there and decide to do their jackass antics and beat up the person again. But when getting closer, one of them has a change of heart and says, "Dude, man, I really feel sorry for this guy, let's up the one in the tent."
Little Johnny is sitting in class. The teacher draws a banana on the whiteboard and asks the class, "Class, can anyone guess what this fruit is?" Little Johnny raises his hand and shouts, "That's not a fruit." Little Susie, offended at hearing the word, immediately begins to cry and runs out of the classroom to the principal's office. "Susie, what's wrong?" he asks. She attempts to answer through the tears, but the principal can hardly make out a word. "Susie," he asks, "did little Johnny do this to you?" Still crying, she nods her head yes. The principal storms out of the office, down the hall, and into the classroom. He marches over to Johnny's seat and shouts, "Johnny, this is the last straw. You are always picking on Susie and making trouble for all your classmates. I am sick of your antics." The principal finally looks over at the whiteboard. "And now you've drawn a banana on the whiteboard." Hey there. I put a lot of effort into making these videos, so please subscribe for more jokes and stay happy. Thank you.